welcome. Today's Vinyasa flow class is called Your Hips Don't Lie. So we will be working all around our hips, hip opening poses. We are going to peek into Bird of Paradise pose. For those who don't know, it's a very deep hamstring opener as well as IT band. So please be careful. Don't go beyond what your body's telling you. Don't push to open. It's a very deep stretch. So you can always keep your knees bent to really kind of accommodate the poses for what you are feeling today. We're gonna start on our backs in happy baby pose. So just grabbing either the edges of the feet, the big toes, or if we don't reach here, we can grab behind the knees. Just kind of taking your version of happy baby, whatever feels nice for now. Maybe swaying from side to side, letting yourself land. I always like to take a second or so to make sure to set the breath, set the tone and intention, so we don't just muscle through the class, but we move with awareness. Taking a deep inhale in through the nose, sighing it all out through the mouth. And lengthen the left leg forward. Actually, not lengthen, you're gonna just place the foot with the knee bent. And you're gonna bring the right knee in closer to the torso. So instead of opening the hip that much, we want it close into the torso, as if the knee was coming inside of the armpit, even if you're grabbing the behind the leg. Feeling the low back on the mat, so we're not rounding the low back. And if we're very open and we feel like we want to take it a little further, lengthen the left leg forward. So essentially, this is basically what we're going to get into, standing. So make sure that the left leg is active wherever it is, if it's bent or straight. And begin to push the foot against the hand, lengthening the right leg at a diagonal up towards the ceiling. And maybe bringing it closer towards the torso, towards the side of the torso. Take a deep breath in. And release the foot, placing the right foot onto the mat, bringing the left foot towards the left hand. Half happy baby on the left side. Again, making sure that for this time, for this version of half happy baby, you're bringing the knee close into the torso as you pull the foot towards you, opening that left hip. Making sure the low back is on the mat, your back is straight, and maybe lengthening the right leg forward. Taking your time, settling your breath, and whenever you're ready, begin to push the left foot against the hand, lengthening the left leg, pulling the leg in towards the side of the torso. Taking a deep breath in and release the foot. This time bringing both knees into the chest, massaging the low back from side to side. And now rolling back and forth, really getting a lot of impulse. You're gonna come all the way directly into a forward fold. If you don't get there, it's fine. Assist yourself with your hands. And once you're ready, placing the weight on your feet, rolling forward fold. If you didn't roll all the way to a forward fold, assist yourself with your hands, separating your feet a little wider than mat width. Ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows, swaying the torso from side to side. Releasing the arms, interlacing your hands behind your torso, lengthening the arms forward. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, forward fold. Releasing the arms overhead, bending the knees as much as needed, maybe even placing the torso onto the thighs. Or if you feel like you're a little more open, you can begin to lengthen the legs. One more breath. And on the next exhale, release the hands. Place both hands onto the mat, bringing the feet either hip width or together. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, forward fold. Standing. Hands in front of the heart. From here, we're going to lift our arms up, reaching towards the ceiling. On the exhale, forward fold. Reaching your hands towards the mat, bending the knees as you need. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, plant the hands next to the feet, step the left foot back. Placing the back knee down, lengthening the front leg, half splits. The torso lengthens forward through the crown of the head, shoulders broadening. Maybe the right foot is flexed to lengthen even more the right back of the leg. Remain here, one more breath. And on the next exhale, bending the front leg, coming into a low lunge, lifting your arms up towards the ceiling. Shifting your hips forward to feel the opening in the left frontal hip, but still remaining long without overarching the low back. Inhale. And on the exhale, bring your arms behind you, interlacing your hands, opening the shoulders, lifting the heart. Maybe looking up. And release your hands next to the right foot. Placing the back toes down, lifting the back knee, step it back, plank pose. Coming through your vinyasa, maybe knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Placing both knees onto the mat, coming into a tabletop position. Making sure your hands are placed where you want them for the rest of the class, so the fingers are engaged, wrists, crease of the wrist is parallel to the front of the mat, and legs are hip width apart. On the inhale, we're going to do dynamic strengthening exercises for the outer hip and glute. So you're going to inhale, lift the knee out to the side, bringing the knee at the same height as the hip and lower. And then pushing back, donkey kicks the heel up towards the ceiling without overarching the low back, keeping the core engaged and lower. We're going to do just like that 5 more. Bringing the right hip out to the side, lower, kicking the heel up and back behind you. Low ribs are engaged and lower. Continue at your own pace, 4 more. Feeling the rhythm of the breath guide the movement. Last 2. Making sure that you're pushing that leg up in the donkey kick. Heel is pushing up, foot engaged. Last 1. Coming back through center, we're going to lift the right leg up towards the side just like we did. Staying here, lengthen the leg out. Doesn't matter if it doesn't lengthen completely. We're going to place a foot down, lifting the torso up. Walking the right hand along the right leg, lengthening the left side of the body. Inhale. And on the exhale, return through center, placing both hands onto the mat. Coming back through center, downward facing dog. Lifting the left leg up towards the ceiling. Opening the hip, bending the knee, reaching the left heel towards the left glute. Closing it off, bringing the right knee towards the right elbow, lifting that leg, not letting the hips drop, and lengthen back. Bring the knee into the nose, lift, lift, lift. pushing the floor away from you, rounding the upper back, and lengthen. This last time, knee towards the left elbow. Stay here, opening the hip and placing the foot outside of the left hand. Lowering into the back knee, back of the foot. Lifting the left arm up towards the ceiling. We're going to use the left hand to push the left thigh away from us, opening that hip. Making sure the foot lifts as well, so the foot is in the same direction as the knee. Maybe looking behind us. And coming back through center, planting the foot onto the mat, keeping the knee close to the torso. We're going to lower onto our forearms. If it's not available to us, we can either lower onto one forearm or just stay up in your hands. We're going to stay here a couple more breaths. Not resisting, letting the hips drop so we really feel that opening in the front right hip. And placing your hands back onto the mat, lifting the torso, keeping the foot where it is. You're going to lengthen the left leg into this variation of half split. Maybe flexing the foot, drawing the left hip crease back, making sure we have a long back, our hips are squared. And bending the front leg, wiggling the foot between your hands, placing the back toes down, lifting the back knee, stepping the right foot to meet the left. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold, coming all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. Other side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, reaching for the mat with both hands. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, lift halfway. Exhale, planting the hands next to the foot, step the right foot back this time. Usually, it'll be a little further back than you'd think it is. To keep the left knee over the ankle, not in front. Lowering the back knee, the back of the foot, lengthen the front leg into half splits. Finding length through each vertebrae, crown of the head, lengthening the torso. Maybe flexing the left foot to really find more length through the back of the left leg. Take a deep breath in and bend the front leg, lifting the arms up, crescent lunge. Finding length through the low back, making sure this isn't a back bend, for at least this version won't be. And interlace your hands behind you, opening your chest, lifting the heart, looking up. Inhale, and on the exhale, release your hands, planting both hands next to the foot. Place the back toes down, lift the back knee, step it back, plank pose. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg, before that, we're going to place both knees onto the mat, coming back through tabletop. Once again, lifting the left leg out to the side, like a fire hydrant, and lower. Pushing the left heel up towards the ceiling, and lower. Continue at your own pace, 5 more. Making sure that the knee, even if it's bent, comes out towards the same height of the hip. And when you kick back, the foot is flexed, and it's as if you were pushing through the heel. Continue your breath, fluid and long. Last one. And once again, lifting the left leg out towards the side, lengthen the left leg out, placing the foot on the mat, lift the torso into gate pose. Walking the left hand along the left leg, reaching the right arm towards the left, making sure that we're not closing the chest to reach further. We're feeling the stretch in the side of the torso, the side of the body. Coming back through center, planting both hands under our shoulders, coming back through tabletop, downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg up this time. Opening the hip, bending the knee, pushing the heel towards that right glute. Making sure the torso's facing down. We're not opening through the right side. And slowly closing it off. Bringing the right knee towards the left elbow. Lifting, not letting that knee drop. Pushing through the floor and lengthen. Right knee towards the nose. Tucking that belly button in towards the spine and lengthen. Last one, knee towards the right elbow, opening the hip, reaching that knee more towards the shoulder and place a foot outside of the right hand. Placing the back knee down the back of the foot, lifting the right arm up, using the right hand to push the right thigh away from you. As you open the chest, maybe looking behind you, the foot lifts, making sure the knee is in the same direction as the foot. Dropping the hips, feeling that opening through the hips. And slowly coming back through center, planting the foot once again, keeping the knee and the thigh close in towards the torso, lowering onto your forearms if it's available. Keeping the knee close into the torso so the whole foot is planted. Releasing the hips down, not resisting. And place the hands back down onto the mat, lifting the torso. We're going to lengthen the right leg, coming into this funky half split. Lengthening through the crown of the head, flexing the right foot, folding over. And slowly shifting back towards the front of the mat, wiggling the foot between your hands, placing the back toes down, lifting the back knee, stepping the left foot to meet the right. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, fold forward and come all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. We're going to go through 3 Surya Namaskar-As. Feel free to do it at your own pace. Take this time for you if there's anything specific that you want to do during this time. If not, follow me. Inhaling, arms up. On the exhale, hinge forward, reaching for the mat with both hands. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, planting the hands next to the feet. Step out into plank or hop into chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. 3 full rounds of breath. Reaching the sits bones down, feeling as it's one long line from the hands towards the sits bones. Inhale, and on the exhale, bend the knees, look forward, step or hop towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, fold forward and come all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. 2 more times. Inhale, arms up. On the exhale, hinge forward, reaching for the mat with both hands. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, plant the hands next to the feet, step or hop back into plank or chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Returning to the breath as you lengthen the spine. This time trying to lengthen the legs, reaching the heels towards the mat. Making a V, inverted V with your body. On the exhale, bend your knees, look forward, step or hop towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Coming all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. Last one. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, lift halfway. Exhale, plant the hands next to the feet, step or hop back into plank or chaturanga. Upward facing dog, knees lift, downward facing dog. Coming into your inverted V, the sits bones as you tilt the pelvis down and the sits bones reach up. Low ribs tying in. And bend your knees, look forward, step or hop towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold, coming all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. Inhale, we're gonna come through a variation of Surya Namaskar B. Utkatasana, chair pose. Lowering the hips, bending the knees, lifting the torso long. If we look down, we can see our toes. Breathe. And fold forward. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, plant the hands next to the feet. Step or hop back, plank or chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg up, keeping the hip squared, bringing the right knee into the chest, placing the foot between your hands, warrior one on the right side. Lowering the back heel, pressing through the edge of the back foot. Shoulders over the hips. Hips trying to close, reaching the right hip crease back. Inhale, and lower your hands back down. Step it back, plank pose, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Other side, lifting the left leg up. Bringing the left knee into the nose. Placing the foot between your hands, rolling the back heel down. Lifting the arms up. Reaching the left hip crease back, belly button in and up. And lower your hands down. Coming through your flow, step it back, plank pose, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. The shoulders broadening as the armpits try to close, the upper arm rolling in. And bend your knees, look forward, step or hop towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, fold forward, coming into Utkatasana, chair pose. And release, lengthening the legs, bringing the hands in front of the heart. Inhale, arms up. On the exhale, fold forward. Bending the knees from the fold, coming into Malasana. So as you separate your feet, wider than hip width, dropping the hips, bending the knees. Malasana, bringing the hands in front of the heart as you push the knees away from you. Finding length through the crown of the head. If your heels don't reach the ground, that's fine. Keep it active onto the tiptoes. Still keeping the spine long. Reaching the left arm down, right arm up. If you're very bendy, you can try the bind, reaching for the right hand behind you as you lift the heart up towards the ceiling. So if you're going for the bind, make sure that you're not crouching down to get the hand. There's still that length through the crown of the head and the torso. And release the hand if it was bound, coming back through center. Lengthening the right arm down, left arm up, opening on the other side. Taking the bind if you did so on the other side, grabbing the left hand behind you. Crown of the head reaching up. Looking over the left shoulder up towards the ceiling or the sky. And release the hand, coming back through center. Slowly, with control, lowering the sits bones onto the mat, Navasana. Long spine, sitting on the sits bones, not the low back. Lengthening the arms forward. Breathe. And release, placing the feet down, hands behind you, reverse tabletop. Pushing the hips up towards the ceiling. As you either look up towards the ceiling, keeping the neck neutral, or maybe it might feel more comfortable to look down or forward towards the front of the mat. Whatever feels best. Stay here for a couple more breaths, not letting the hips drop, trying not to over tense the neck, the side of the neck and the shoulders. On the next exhale, release down, placing the sits bones, coming back into Navasana. Long spine, maybe playing with lengthening one leg, the other, maybe both. And release down, planting the feet around either mat width apart or wider than hip width apart, placing the hands behind you. In a dynamic way, we're just going to let the knees fall towards the right, towards the left, bringing movement towards in that hip socket. So lubricating the joint. Go at your own pace, keeping the spine long, heart lifted. On the next one, letting the knees drop towards the right. Staying here, placing your hands behind you, either staying here or bringing the foot on top of the left leg, the left thigh, letting both knees drop. If we're lifting all and crunching up to do that, then place it back onto the mat. Remaining here, maybe you're walking your hands behind you, coming into your forearms or laying down completely. Releasing everything down. Taking a deep breath in and pushing yourself back up. If you were laying down onto the mat, placing the the right hand behind you, reaching the left arm forward, lifting the hips up, opening the heart, lifting the chest. And come back through center, dropping the hips, letting the knees fall towards the other side. Again, whatever version you took on one side, you'll take on this side. Maybe the left foot comes on top of the right thigh as you drop the knees. Coming onto your forearms, or maybe coming completely onto your backs. Taking deep breaths here. The knees shouldn't be super lifted and feels like tightness and closing of the body. It should feel like an opening of the body. And slowly coming back onto your hands, lifting the torso up, placing the left hand behind you, reaching the right arm up and behind, lifting the hips, opening the heart. And coming back through center, dropping the hips, placing both feet onto the mat. Crossing your feet, placing your hands in front of you, step or hop back into plank, and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. From down dog, we're all gonna shift forward, shoulders over wrists, coming into plank pose, holding here, pushing the floor away from you, rounding the upper back without lifting the hips. Belly button in and up as the low ribs tie in together. Hold here. 2 more breaths. And on the next exhale, bending the elbows, maybe dropping the hips, lowering all the way down onto the mat. Opening the arms at a T. Bring the right hand next to the chest, opening the left shoulder. Placing the side of the head. Placing the foot behind you. If you want to take it a little deeper, you can look for the left hand with the right hand behind you, interlacing the hands, maybe lengthening the right leg. And coming back through center, lengthening the right arm, bringing the left arm in, coming onto the right side as you place the left foot behind you. And if you went for the bind, lengthening the left arm behind, interlacing the hands. Maybe even lengthening that left leg back. Not tensing the shoulder or the head, just letting the side of the head relax onto the mat. And coming back through center. Either tucking your toes, pushing yourself back up through plank, or coming into child's pose and then downward facing dog. Whichever way, we'll meet in down dog. Lifting the right foot up towards the ceiling, bringing the right knee into the nose, coming up into crescent lunge. Bending both knees slightly to really bring the hips to be squared and at the same height. Long arms. Rolling the back heel down, warrior one. Making sure the outer edge of the left foot is pressing down and the left hip bone is trying to look forward. Inhale and lengthen the front leg. Bring the back foot a little closer, preparing for pyramid pose, making sure that both hip bones are facing forward, hands in our low back, dropping our heart down with a long spine, reaching for the floor with both hands. Right hip crease pulls back. Crown of the head lengthens the torso. And we're going to shift the weight towards our right foot, placing our hands maybe a little more forward, lifting the back leg, standing splits. When you're in the standing split in the balance, you might want to bring your hands a little closer to the foot as the torso comes towards the standing leg. Hold here. And dropping the left foot to meet the right, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold, coming all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. We're going to come into tree pose, shifting the weight towards the right foot. Bring the left foot along the thigh, along the leg, the inside of the leg. As it comes up, place your hands on the hips, making sure that both of those crests, those hip bones that you might feel in the top of the hip are facing forward. So if one begins to push back and face down, we're going to release, bring that left hip a little more forward once again. And just like that, lifting all that you can. And from there, pushing the left knee out. Again, making sure that this hip crease is still looking forward. Hold here. And either grabbing the knee or the ankle or the toe, we're going to keep the hip open, lengthening the leg out to the side. If we're grabbing the knee, then we'll just hold here, pulling the knee in towards the side of the torso. Long spine, same, both hips are facing forward. Outer hip is engaged. Stay here. And coming back through your tree pose just briefly, long arms up towards the ceiling, lengthening the left leg back, warrior two. Opening the arms along the legs, lowering deep into that right front leg, and windmill your hands down. Step it back, downward facing, plank chaturanga, upward facing dog, and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Other side. Inhale, bringing the left foot between your hands, coming all the way up, crescent lunge, bending both knees to make sure both of those crests are facing forward, placing the back heel down, warrior one. The right hip is trying to look forward as the outer edge of the right foot pushes down towards the mat. Long arms. And lengthen the front leg. Bring the back foot a little closer. It's almost as if you were doing a really long step. Both feet are facing forward, hands in the low back, long spine, and hinge forward, folding over the left leg. As you reach for the mat with both hands. If you don't reach, it's nice to have blocks or anything that will give you a little more height. If not, place lightly the hand onto the shin or the leg. And when we shift into standing splits, you can bend the front leg just a little as you shift the weight towards the left leg, pushing the right leg up towards the ceiling. Both hips are closed. Take a deep breath and forward fold, dropping the right leg to meet the left. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold, coming all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. Shifting into tree pose on the left leg. The right foot comes along the inside of the left leg. Outer hip is pushing it in and up. So we're not just collapsing in the hip joint. Both hips are facing forward. And when we find the stability in the hips, we might begin to push the right knee out more towards the side. Long arms up. There's like a magnetic force as the foot pushes against the inner thigh and the thigh against the foot. And slowly releasing the arms, either going for the knee or the big toe, lengthening the right leg out towards the side. Outer hip is engaged, long spine, and we're not shifting back either. Shoulders are over the hips, low ribs are tying in, and releasing, coming back into your tree pose, Vrikasana. Long arms up, lengthening the right leg back, coming into your warrior two, as smoothly as possible. Inhale, and on the exhale, windmill your hands back down, stepping the left foot back, coming through your vinyasa. Remember, you can skip them whenever you want. Down dog, bend your knees, look forward, step or hop towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, forward fold, coming all the way up to standing. Hands in front of the heart. We're going to open our stance up into a wide-legged stance. Bring our feet around parallel to each other, around an arm's length of space between them. And we're going to open up the right foot, coming into a warrior two. Shoulders over hips, bending the front leg, bringing the right arm inside of the right leg, left arm reaching up. If this is too much, you can place the forearm on the thigh. And we're going to wrap the left arm behind our thigh, maybe placing our fingers inside of the right thigh, right hip crease pulling back, lengthening the front leg, coming into this wrapped arm Trikonasana. If it's too much, feel free to lengthen the top arm. Looking down, keeping the hand where it is. You might want to shorten the stance a little. We're going to shift the weight towards the right leg, opening the hip, lifting the back leg, coming into this open-shouldered Ardha Chandrasana half moon. Hold here. And slowly, with control, bending the front leg, coming back from where you came from into Trikonasana, unwrapping the arm, lifting the left arm up, coming all the way back through center. Other side, closing the right foot, opening the left, warrior two on the left side. The tailbone draws down, lengthening the low back, and coming into your extended side angle. Either arm inside of the left leg, arm reaching up, lifting the torso, lengthening through the crown of the head. Wrap the right arm behind you. Maybe placing the fingertips inside of the thigh, opening the shoulder. Looking down, lengthening the front leg, keeping the right arm as is. Twisting open more towards the right, so the whole torso is facing the right side of the mat. And shifting the weight towards the left foot. And shifting the weight towards the left foot, coming into Ardha Chandrasana with the wrapped arm. Lifting the right leg up, opening the chest towards the right side. Maybe bending the standing leg a little to find more stable hips. And slowly from where you came from, dropping the back leg, coming into Trikonasana, lengthening the right arm up, coming all the way up through center. Bringing both feet parallel to each other, interlacing your hands behind you, folding forward, letting the torso drop forward as the hands come overhead. Releasing any tension through the shoulders. Maybe the palms of the hands press against each other. If you have more room in the shoulders. If you feel tight, you can grab a towel or a strap to open up a little. And the same way you came down, inhale, lengthen through the spine, coming all the way back up through center. Once again, right side, warrior two. Opening the right foot, bending the right leg, warrior two. Coming through your extended side angle, bringing the right arm inside of the right leg. Feel free to do the same thing that we did in last version. If not, we're gonna take it a step further. Left arm reaches up, maybe looking for the bind. Grabbing the left hand behind you as the shoulder rolls back. If you want to lengthen, if it feels too tight, lengthen the arms. If not, keep the bind, lengthen the right leg, coming into this bound Trikonasana. Still the torso's facing the left side. And maybe we're going to keep the bind for Ardha Chandrasana. If not, feel free to let go of the bind, coming into regular Ardha Chandrasana. Shifting the weight towards the right leg, lifting the left leg. Have fun with it. It's a challenging balancing pose. Woo. And slowly come back from where you came from. Lengthening the right leg, letting go of the bind if you're still bound. Lengthening the arms. Coming back up through center. Closing the right foot, other side. Have fun with it. This is challenging. And feel free to just do it without the bind. Bending the left leg, opening the arms along the legs. Inhale and drop down into your extended side angle. Long torso, right arm reaches up. And coming for the bind if you did so on the other side, opening the chest, rolling the shoulder back. And maybe if you come into the bind, that doesn't mean you have to do everything with the bind. You can play around with it and then maybe undo the bind. And lengthen the left leg. Maybe you have to shorten the stance, that's fine. Right shoulder rolling back, lengthening through the crown of the head. Looking down onto the mat, shifting the eyesight down, shifting the weight towards the left foot, coming into a bound Ardha Chandrasana if that's what you're going for. If not, release the hands, placing the left hand down, and slowly come back. Releasing the hands, lengthen the leg, coming back through the wide angle pose. Bring your feet together in the front of the mat. Inhale, arms up. On the exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, plant the hands next to the feet. Step, hop, walk, whatever you want. Back, and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Separate your feet, maybe mat width apart or a little wider than hip width. And we're gonna walk our hands back towards our feet. Trying to keep the legs straight. We're gonna wiggle our feet so they're around, our shoulders can fit inside of the legs. So when we fold forward, our shoulders come inside of the legs. From there, we're gonna place the left hand behind, the left shoulder behind the left thigh. Interlacing, grabbing the right hand behind you. Shifting the weight towards the right leg, bringing the left foot onto its tiptoes. And maybe you'll stay here. Keep the knee bent, and if you want to take it further, you're going to begin to lift the torso, bringing the left leg with you. Keeping the knee bent. Don't try to straighten it until you're standing. From here, begin to try to lengthen the leg. And slowly, just as you came into it, we'll lower down. Keep your eyesight in one place to keep the balance. And slowly begin to fold forward, placing the foot back on the ground. Letting go of the hands. This time bringing the right shoulder under the right thigh, looking for the left hand, the right hand behind you, binding here, shifting the weight towards the left foot, coming onto the tiptoes of the right foot. Slowly beginning to lift the torso up as you bring the right leg with you. My balance is just not at its best today. Keeping the knee bent, shoulders roll back, long spine. And from here you can begin to play with lengthening the leg. Maybe not. Maybe you're going to keep it bent the whole time. And just as you came into it, you'll come down, bending the knee, lowering the torso, placing the foot on the ground, unhooking the hands, unbinding, and walking your hands back downward facing dog. Bringing your feet hip width apart, placing the right foot between your hands as smooth as possible, placing the back knee down, the back of the foot, lift the right arm up, twisting to neutralize. Right hip crease pulls back. And slowly lower the right hand down. Place the back toes, step it back, downward facing dog. Other side, place the left foot between your hands. Lower the back knee. Place the back of the foot on the mat, keeping the right hand down, lifting the left arm up. Making a straight line from one hand to the other. Strong upper back. Inhale and release, placing the left hand down, placing the back toes onto the mat, lifting the back knee, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, coming into pigeon pose on the right leg, bringing the right knee as close towards the wrist as possible, making sure both hips are facing forward. Maybe that will mean that we're not completely onto the mat. We're lifting a little. Maybe we can place a pillow or something under our right hip to level it out. And wherever we are, surrendering forward. If we're very open in the hip, we can bring the foot closer out so the whole shin is parallel to the front of the mat. And surrender completely. Letting the torso hang overhead. And slowly coming back up. Bringing the left leg forward, taking the foot outside of the right thigh, shifting the knee so it's in front of our pelvis. The heel outside of the left hip. Inhale, arms up. On the exhale, twist over towards the left as you hook the right elbow outside of the right thigh, of the left thigh. If it's too much, you can just hug in the leg in towards your chest. And if you're very open, you can go for the bind here. Looking for the left hand behind you. Looking over the left shoulder. Again, as we bind, we're looking to open the shoulders, not hunch over and close the chest to reach for the hand. So shoulders rolling back, looking over the left shoulder. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, twist a little deeper. And wherever in the twist you are, release, coming back through center, letting go of the hands. We're going to stack the knees into Gomukhasana, bringing the heels in as close towards the outer hips as possible. If this feels really tight and our knees are coming up into us, into our face, we're going to lengthen the bottom leg. If not, we bring the heels into the outer hips and fold over our legs, releasing everything. So no little effort in the shoulders and the neck. Just letting ourselves hang over our legs. And pushing ourselves back up. Unwinding just a little so we can cross our feet, place our hands in front of us, coming back into down dog on the other side. Bringing the left foot, the left shin close towards the front of the mat as we open the hip, pigeon pose on the other side. Making sure both hip bones are facing forward. Finding a long spine and surrender over the left leg, releasing everything onto the mat. Taking deep breaths, creating space with each inhale wherever you're feeling tension or tightness. And with each exhale, surrender a little deeper. And pushing yourself back up from where you came from. Swinging the right leg forward, placing the right foot outside of the left thigh for your seated twist. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist, whichever version you're taking, either hugging the leg in, hooking the elbow outside of the right thigh, twisting over, looking over the right shoulder. Again, finding length through the crown of the head. And if you went for the bind on the other side, you can look for the bind here. Looking over the right shoulder, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist a little deeper. Shoulders are rolling back. And release, coming back through center, stacking the knees for Gomukhasana legs. And fold over, releasing any tension, kind of like a yin quality of a pose, just releasing everything without any effort. Letting the head hang heavy. And slowly coming back up. This time lengthening both legs forward in front of you. Walking your hands forward. So this time there is engagement of the core, of the upper back, broadening the shoulders. We're not just letting ourselves hang over. We're walking our hands little by little, feeling the length through the crown of the head. Feet are facing up, Paschimottanasana. Pushing through the heels. Inhale, find a little more length. Exhale, lower just a tad bit deeper. And come all the way back up. Crossing your feet, placing your hands in front of you, plank pose. Last plank, I promise. Bending the elbows, coming all the way down onto your belly. Interlacing your hands behind your back, lengthening the arms completely. Inhale, Shalambhasana, lifting the torso, lifting the legs. Imagine you have a block between your thighs, so the legs can't separate more than hip width apart. And the toes separate, engaging all the backs of the legs. Shoulders rolling back, finding length through the crown of the head. Low back lengthens, inhale, and release down. Feel free to do the same thing 2 more times, or you can come into half boat pose or full bow pose. So whatever feels right for you. Half boat pose, you'll grab one foot, place a forearm as you push the foot away from the hand, lifting the leg. Forearm supports the torso. For full boat pose, we'll grab both feet push against the hands, lifting the chest, lifting the legs. Same thing, you have a block between your thighs, not letting your legs splurge. Wherever you are, breathe, lengthening through the crown of the head and the tailbone lengthens down, lengthening the whole low back. Inhale wherever you are and release down. One more time. Feel free to do whichever version you prefer. Inhale, lift all the way up, pushing through the heels of your in-boat pose. So the feet are flexed, legs are engaged, shoulders rolling back, long arms. Inhale and release down. Placing your hands next to your chest, push yourself back, child's pose. Do whatever version feels right. Knees together, knees separate, arms next to the torso, arms towards the front of the mat. And release any tension that you might be carrying. Letting yourself unwind through the breath. Through this coming back into yourself. As you fold inward. And whenever you're ready, you're going to come onto your backs. Swaying the legs forward. Bringing both knees into the chest. Crossing the right leg over the left. We're going to let both legs drop over towards the left as we look over the right. Again, little effort, twist. Just letting the body melt and do its thing. Coming back through center. Undoing the legs, taking the left leg over the right this time. Letting the legs fall over towards the right as you look over the left shoulder. Beginning to set up your mind, your energy for Shavasana. By unwinding everything, taking deep breaths to clear out any tension. And coming back through center, unwinding the legs. Finding symmetry between both sides of the body. Palms of the hands facing up. Shoulders relaxing onto the mat. Trying to stay still. Find stillness. With our physical body, leading our mind to stillness. Letting the whole body melt onto the ground. Finding Shavasana. Taking a deep inhale in, reconnecting mind and body through the breath. Whenever you're ready, beginning to wiggle the toes, take your thumb over your fingertips. Lengthening your arms overhead, becoming as long as possible, almost as if you were just waking up. Stretching the whole body. And bringing your knees into your chest, giving yourself a big hug. Whenever you're ready, coming into a fetal position, keeping your eyes closed, taking your time. pushing yourself up into a seated position, keeping the weight of the body heavy, making the transition as smooth and as graceful as possible, keeping the spine long and soft all at the same time. Bringing your hands in front of your heart, bowing down in gratitude. Namaste. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your day.